themselves. Why would a certain member of parliament or governor or a community invest in the education sector and others don't? The issues I raised, and I want to be very clear, is that all children in Kenya deserve equal treatment. National schools are very critical because they have very developed infrastructure and they attract the best among our children. The issue that I raised, and I would like to continue raising it, is that there must be fairness in the placement of children in national schools. I have not insisted, and I cannot, that children of a certain area must go to schools where those schools are domiciled. No. What I'm saying is, where the schools are domiciled, children from that area who qualify to go to those schools must be given an opportunity. I have examples. Parents have called me from Nyanza, Girls, Kamusinga High School, Mukumu Girls, Machako School, Mulango Girls in Kitui, St. Charles Wanga, Thika High School, where children from those areas who had applied to be considered to be admitted in those areas, in those schools, and attained the requisite marks were denied an opportunity. For example, there is a child from the Goto area who got 71 out of 72 marks. Alliance High School is just a few meters from the Goto. That child had asked to be placed in Alliance High School, and the cluster was right. That child was denied an opportunity. Yet some children from other areas with as low as 50 marks have been admitted to those institutions. That is what we are saying is unfair. It cannot be, you know. This placement must be based on merit for all the children of Kenya. And I am saying it's unfair to deny a child an opportunity to go to a school of his or her choice with very high marks and give that opportunity to another child with very low marks. That I'm saying is unfair, it's uncalled for. Let me also say this, because it's important. Let leaders from northern Kenya not lecture us about affirmative action. Devolution has been in place since 2013, and leaders from those regions deliberately have refused to develop institutions. Yet they want their children to enjoy the facilities of institutions that have been put by other leaders in other counties. Since 2013, Wajir County has received 99.6 billion Kenya shillings. Marsabit County has received 76.83 billion. Garissa County has received 81.7 billion shillings. Mandera County has received 119 Kenya billion shillings. They have the opportunity to develop institutions of the highest standards possible in Kenya. Not just for the children of those areas, but for the children of Kenya. I traveled as deputy president of those areas, and I don't see any institutions, despite the massive funding that taxpayers have channeled to those counties. Yet in counties that have received less money, in Western Kenya, in Rift Valley, here in the mountain, when you go around, you see beautiful institutions. I want to say that we need to have a national conversation about zoning of placement. This was okay then because some areas were marginalized, but these areas have received massive funding from the Equalization Fund. They have received massive funds from the National Kitty. CDF funds are shared equally among the 290 constituencies. Yet when you go to these areas where the leaders are making a lot of noise, there is nothing on the ground. In fact, when I was deputy president, I was shocked that these leaders from northern Kenya don't live there and they don't work there. Anytime I had a trip to Garissa, to Mandera, to AJAABU, the leaders of those regions would demand that I make space available for them on my aircraft. I would go with them and come back with them. And I never saw any institutions there, despite the fact that billions of shillings have been given to those areas. So we are saying we need a national conversation to ask. Devolution was supposed to bring equity. Equitable allocation of CDA funds was meant to bring equity. 13 years down the line, is there really any county that requires affirmative action anymore? We need to have that conversation. For how long are we going to have affirmative action? Because devolution was meant to address the inequality and the marginalization of certain regions. So in conclusion, I want to say that we are demanding that all children of Kenya be admitted to the best schools on merit. And I'm not saying children from this area or any other area who are not qualified or who have not met the minimum points that are required should be admitted to these great institutions. I am saying, and parents have asked me to say so, that all children of Kenya should be given an opportunity on merit. Finally, I want to say that we used to have a very good system of placement of our kids into secondary schools. Principals would gather at the Kenya Science Teachers College, and they are given all the pupils who apply to go to those institutions. Then a committee would agree on the cutoff point, and the principals would make the choices and place the children accordingly. This is no longer the case. The placement of our children has been centralized at Jogoo House, which has brought in corruption, because the bureaucrats sitting at Jogoo House have no capacity to know how to place kids. That is why we have a crisis where kids have been placed in a day school 300 kilometers away from their homes. How do people expect these children to go about their lives? If it's a girl aged 13 years and she has been placed in a school 200-300 kilometers away from home, the parents would have to go and get a house, a rented room for that girl and leave her there. Again, the parents would spend a lot of money. So we have a crisis, we have a mess. I heard William Ruto saying that it has been done very well. He doesn't live in this country anymore. He should know and hear the outcry of parents. Parents are spending thousands of shillings trying to take their children far away from home to day schools, look for accommodation, look how they'll be eating, how they'll be cooking. It's a crisis of unknown magnitude. We are saying that it is not right to admit any child to a day school outside a walking distance. And when the principals were doing it, it was done properly because the principals know the catchment area of the secondary school, and then they will do 3, 4, 5 kilometers only. But we have a situation where kids in Machakos have been admitted in a day school in Kericho. How does that child survive? This is not right. This is unnecessary. And finally, let me say, some people are saying that I shouldn't speak for people of this region. First and foremost, I come from this region. Ordinarily, as a national leader, I should have been speaking on most issues. But why I speak is because all the elected members of parliament and senators from the Mount Kenya region were bought by William Ruto, and they no longer speak for the people. They hear no evil, they see no evil. Therefore, somebody must speak. And I must say, though I was removed from office, I'm an elected leader. I was elected by the people of Kenya. And none of those people who elected me removed me from office. And since there is nobody to speak for these people, somebody must speak for them. So Rigathi Gachagua will continue speaking first and foremost for the people of Kenya. Secondly, he will speak for the people of this region because the people of this region have been abandoned by their elected representatives on the instructions of William Ruto, and they no longer speak for the people. When we are having this crisis, kids cannot go to school. Kids have been taken to schools far away from home. Kids with very high marks have been taken to schools with no infrastructure at all, despite the fact that their parents contributed money to put up beautiful institutions. Members of parliament, members of senate are quiet. That is not acceptable. I must speak to this issue. That is why, like here in Nyeri, when I came last night, people around Kiganjo, around Kericho, and business people have come to see me because they have information that Kiganjo Police College that was developed by the colonialists want to be relocated to Baringo and West Pokot by Murkomen and William Ruto. And that means the people who have been supplying foodstuffs, who have been supplying other essentials to that college will be rendered out of business. Yet the MPs from this region are quiet. The senator is quiet. Somebody must speak for the people of Nyeri. And that does not make me tribal. I'm just a responsible leader. And I want to say nobody will intimidate Rigathi Gachagua from speaking for people who elected him and who trust him and who depend on him to speak for them. And anytime I speak for the people of this region, I am called a tribalist. Yet when leaders speak on behalf of the people of Western Kenya, nobody calls them tribalists. I have seen the people of Northeastern Kenya. Anytime one of their person is touched, the whole community is up in arms. Nobody calls them tribal. Yet when I speak for 150,000 rice farmers in Moya, I'm called tribal. I want to say that I will not be cowed, I will not be intimidated. Anybody can call me whatever you want to call me. I must continue to speak for the people. And as you know, the slogan of my party is listening to the ground. I only speak for the people because they tell me to speak for them. This placement of grade 10 kids is a serious crisis, not just in this area. You know, people have called me from all over the country, thanking me for raising these issues. And I want to invite a national conversation around the issue of the quota system. Is it necessary anymore? After devolution for 13 years, after money has been allocated for equalization fund, after every constituency is given the same amount of money for CDF, do we still need the quota system? Is it not time that we said all national schools are available to all the children of Kenya on merit? We shouldn't have two standards, one for some areas and another standard for some other areas. Yet those areas that are being given low standards have received billions of Kenya shillings to upgrade institutions. So I want to tell the leaders from Northeastern Kenya, please leave East Lee and South Sea and go to Northern Kenya and develop institutions. You have serious money. All this money, what are you doing with this money? I've been to Garissa, I've been to AJAABU, I've been to Madera, I've been to Marsabit. I don't see schools. I don't see any institutions. Yet, from the books, you have received billions of Kenya shillings. If the people of Wajir, the county government, decided out of the 99 billion they have received, put aside only 9 billion, at 3 billion per school, they would put up 3 great institutions in Wajir of the highest standard possible. Yet they have received 99 billion, there is nothing to show for it. So let the leaders from that area not cry about being profiled. They are not working. They have not spent their resources prudently. They should use the money that have been allocated to them to put up institutions like the rest of the country. And they should not intimidate the rest of us when we say that those institutions developed by our ancestors, by communities, should also benefit the children from those communities alongside other children from the people of Kenya. Thank you very much. Well, you know, ushonoka na kuigua uru ati atongoria itu ara twathurire marahũthĩrwo nĩ William Ruto kũhũra andũ ao, makaheo mbeca nĩ William Ruto, macarie nyanake iria itarĩ wĩra, macihũthĩre ũru, macihe mbeca, moe mĩtĩ ya macembe na mabanga, makorage aciari ao, makahũre andũ ao. Ucio nĩ ũrimũ na nĩ ũhoro ũtarĩ mwega. No nĩ ngwenda gũcokeria andũ a Nyeri Town ngatho tondũ maraugire matikwenda ũrimũ na matigwĩtĩkĩria maũndũ ta macio. Na andũ a Nyeri Town nĩo mene marabanga, marahũra mĩkoreo na maramĩingata Nyeri. Noguo nĩguo gũkwenda gũikare. Na njĩra atongoria acio mathurirwo marutĩre andũ wĩra. Matiathurirwo marehe mbara kũrĩa mathurĩtwo. Matiathurirwo macaragie nyanake gũcihe mbeca kũhũra andũ arĩa angĩ. Matiathurirwo magũrĩre nyanake mĩtĩ ya macembe ya kũhũra andũ arĩa angĩ. Handũ wa kũmagũrĩra mĩtĩ ya macembe nĩ mamateithĩrĩrie manjĩrĩrie mawĩra. Na ndeto icio ti njega. No harĩa tũgĩkinyĩte rĩ, andũ nao nĩ magĩtuĩte matua, andũ marauga matikwenderio guoya na gũtirĩ hĩndĩ magetĩkĩra andũ moke mahũre andũ. Njokeria andũ a biacara ngatho na ndĩkĩmere nĩ pole tondũ biacara ciao nĩ iracagagirio, no ndĩmere nĩ mararũgamire wega, maranyitana andũ a Nyeri Town, andũ ega, andũ agima, maragitĩra indo ciao, maragitĩra mũcemanio na marauga matikwenda mbara thĩinĩ wa Nyeri, na mĩtugo ĩyo ti mĩtugo mĩega. Na no ngwenda kwĩra atongoria acio maririkane mathurirwo nĩ andũ, na matiathurirwo nĩ andũ mamahũrage kana mabangage mbara. Mathurirwo nĩ andũ mamaragĩrĩrie. Ta rĩu handũ wa marĩrĩrie gũkũ Kĩganjo, tũrenda gũtunywo borithi nĩ William Ruto na Mũkomen, yume gũkũ ĩthiĩ kũndũ kũngĩ. Na ĩno nĩ college yakirwo nĩ mũthũngũ, na ĩtũraga hĩndĩ ya Kenyatta, hĩndĩ ya Moi, hĩndĩ ya Kibaki, hĩndĩ ya Uhuru. Handũ wa marĩrĩrie maũndũ ta macio, marathiĩ gũcaria nyanake, macihe mĩtĩ ya macembe na mabanga, moke mahũre andũ ao, aciari ao, arĩa a nyina. Nĩ ndeto cia gĩconoko na nĩ ndeto itagĩrĩire.
So, sir, please talk to us about the school placement now in Kuyu, Todo kule Marina.
Ndĩrenda kuga ndeto ici cia cukuru ndĩraririe. Ndeto ici nĩ ikwenda ciarĩrĩrio tondũ twĩna macukuru makirwo nĩ aciari aitũ, macukuru mĩgũnda yaheanirwo nĩ mĩhĩrĩga, macukuru mega, no ciana citũ itiretĩkĩrio gũthomera kũu, ona okorwo nĩcio ciĩna marks iria ciagĩrĩire mũno. No ciana ingĩ ciĩna marks ciĩ thĩ mũno igoka ikoya nafasi icio ciothe, ciana citũ igatũmwo cukuru cia ndĩ, igatũmwo cukuru itarĩ na maũndũ marĩa magĩrĩire na cukuru itathondeketwo wega. Maũndũ macio matiagĩrĩire, na nĩ tũkwenda kuga nĩ tũkwenda twanjie kũgĩa na mĩario kũrania atĩrĩrĩ, kai ciana ciothe itaiganaine, kai kũrĩ wandana wa mũgongo. Nĩkĩ kĩratũma mwana wa kũndũ kũngĩ oyo na marks 50 cukuru njega, cukuru nene, no mwana witũ na marks 70 akerũra ngĩthiĩ cukuru ĩyo no athire cukuru ya ndĩ? Maũndũ macio nĩ ngwenda kuga ti maũndũ mega na nĩ ngũmarĩrĩria. Na niĩ njuge ndikerwo ndigacoke kwarĩrĩria maũndũ maya, atĩ ndarĩrĩria maũndũ maya ngerwo ndĩna ũkabira. Niĩ gũtirĩ ũkabira ndĩnaguo, nĩ ndeto cia manjaragia na gũtetera andũ, na ndĩmatetagĩra tondũ andũ arĩa mathurirwo othe nĩ mamatiganĩirie, nĩ magũrirwo nĩ William Ruto nda ciao, magĩtiganĩria andũ ao, gũtirĩ mũndũ ũmaragĩrĩria. Koguo no nginya ndĩmarĩrĩrie tondũ nani nĩ mathurire. Ona okorwo nĩ ndarutirwo obici, nĩ gũthurwo ndathurirwo, na andũ acio mathurire niĩ tio mandutire obici, no nginya thiĩ na mbere na kũmarĩrĩria. Na ndeto ici cia gĩthomo nĩ tũgũciarĩrĩria. Cukuru iria ciakirwo nĩ andũ aitũ, ona ciana citũ onacio iheo nafasi ya gũthoma cukuru icio. Itige gũtumwo cukuru cia kũraihu cia ndĩ, aciari magathĩnĩka, makahũthĩra mbeca nyingĩ mũno, na cukuru iria makire aciari nĩ maramĩona harĩa, makona ciana ingĩ igĩũka itarĩ na marks cia igũrũ, magĩtonya cukuru icio, nacio ciana citũ no kwĩrorera irerorera, igatwarwo kũndũ kũraihu. Ndeto icio itiagĩrĩire na nĩ ndeto tũgũkorwo tũgĩciarĩrĩria na nĩ tũgũciarĩrĩria na njĩra nene mũno. Andũ a kũrĩa North Eastern, Garissa, Wajir, Mandera nĩo maranegena mũno makiuga ciana ciao no nginya ithomere gũkũ, atĩ ona cio ciana cia Kenya. Na kuma mwaka wa 2013 kwareho devolution, mahetwo mabilioni ma mbeca no nĩ maregire gwaka macukuru, matiakaga. Aheshimu acio matũraga Isiri na South gũtarĩ wĩra marutaga, nĩkĩo kwao gũtarĩ kĩndũ gĩakĩtwo. No nĩ mahetwo mbeca nyingĩ mũno cia gwaka, mbeca icio makarere ingĩ makahũthĩra ũru. No mbeca citũ iria tũhũthĩrĩte wega na iria ciarutirwo nĩ aciari aitũ igaka macukuru mega, marenda gũka ciana ciao ithomere macukuru macio, na makaria ũru mũno makiuga no nginya ithomere kũu, na kwao nĩ mahetwo mbeca nyingĩ mũno makarega gwaka macukuru. Nĩ ngwenda tũkorwo twĩna ndereti ya kũria atĩrĩrĩ, ndeto icio cia kuga andũ maigananio rĩ, na andũ nĩ maigananĩtio na kũheo mbeca rĩ, makũigananio na njĩra ĩrĩkũ? Tũkwenda andũ acio make macukuru mao, ciana ciao ithomere kũu, ona citũ ciume ithomere kũu ũrĩa ciao ithomagĩra gũkũ. ciana ciothe cia Kenya cigananio no andu othe mahuthire mbeca wega gwako macukuru mega Kenya yothe gutige gutuika macukuru maria mega mari guku gwitu andu aria angi namo mahetwo mbeca make macukuru mega makaria mbeca icio magacihuthira uru no ni marenda ciana ciao cioka ithomere guku gwitu kia hinya ciana icio itire na mahijana tutingiciirega na tuticingihura no thina ni atongoria acio kurega kuhuthira mbeca gwaka macukuru mega kuria ciana ciao hamwe na ciana citu ingithomera principal marutaga wira mwega muno nginya igwire twathomaga taruni ria ndathomaga ndathute cukuru wa Alliance National na Mangu ngathura provincial Kianyaga ngathura Kagumo na Nyeri hai ngiaga gukinyia marks cia guthie national ngioya provincial Kianyaga uguo niguo wira arutaga na wari mwega muno na principal maya ari ni moi okorwo ni ukuoya mwana athie ndiri ukumuoya kuma itura ririku no riu maundu maya matwarirwo Njogo na nikuo ungumania wihurite andu maroyo kuna computer na mahaki ukona mwana atwaritwo cukuru ya ndi kilomita 200 kuma kwao muci mwana ucio agwika ate aguthie nako ikubidi muciari wake amutware amukomborere nyumba na ringi ni mwana wa muiritu amutige kuu duka-ini thutha wa duka riu mwana ucio no akorwo akiona mathina na akorwo akiremwo ni guthoma koguo no tukwenda kuga uria weka gutene mapriso ni moyanaga tucoke haria twakoragwo tene tondu ukono tucoke hau ndeto ici ndingikinyite hai kinyite
ya kwa kuligana na ndumiriria warekereria kuonania placement irari na nirathogothanire na aciri makoretwo magitega nimeona thirikari tai hari guthii na mbere na senior school agikorwo ha niho maranjiririe na guthogothania placement
well ndiura thirikari renda gwika to thirikari no yorire njira ndimenyaga uria ireka tariu president handwa mathina maya twina mo aratwira horo wa Singapore na mathina maria ni moikaire ni mo maya kwina thina munene muno thiini wa githomo tondu president ni atigira wira akoragwo akigura biashara ndamenyaga niki kirathie na mbere arauga ati riu ni kwega no na inywe tondu muri guku Nyeri no ni muyo ria aciari maranegena na ni muyo ria andu mena thina munene kwina thina munene muno na ni no nguthie na mbere na kwaria atongoria ni maguthie na mbere na kwaria nginya tuone kana tukuona kihonia. Asante niyo natosha.
No wako ukigweta ni hebu patara riu kugia na mutaratara mweru wao yani macukuru-ini maya miaka ithatu thutha wa devolution hihi ungienda mutaratara ucio ko gitabanio na njira iriku ni gutugira mwana wothe wa bururi wa Kenya ri ni agia mieke kuringana na githomo kiria arahuthia
na ti miaka ithatu ni miaka 13 na mathabu mwana ndaguthomera haha ri twagirirwo gukorwo na cukuru ithano wajia cukuru nene ihia na Alliance Madera cukuru ithano ihia na Mangu you know kundu gugwitwo Garissa taguo kundu gugwitwo Marsabit Isiolo okoro magava na maya na MP maya ni mahuthirite mbeca wega ri tutigire na thina wa githomo koguo turauga atiriri no nginya tugie na miario kungihotekeka atia andu acio marege gwaka cukuru na ni mena mbeca ciana ciao ciuke kuria cukuru ciakitwo na kuria andu marutite wira na mbeca ikarutika wira wega no nginya kugie na miario tondu uguo ti wega ku ni kuhuthira andu uru ku ni gukamana thara wene wewe hetwo bilioni 100 utire cukuru wakite ona imwe no uratindo kenengera timenda ciana ciaku ciuke Kiambu kaivota angeka cukuru Garissa na mbeca icio cio na mbeca icio ciothe gutire were rutite twagithiuruka kuri Garissa ri na Wajia ri gutire cukuru ungiona na imwe no mbeca ni moete mbeca ici matwarite ku ndeto icio ni ikwenda kwaririo na ciaririo na njira nene. Asante sana.